Hi, and now we are in the second part of the video session of electricity. And in the earlier class, we have understood how the charges will flow and what is the definition of electric current. And we came to know how we can find out the quantity of charge on a body by understanding the quantization of the charges. And we have learned certain formulas. Only two formulas we have learned, that is Q is equal to IT and Q is equal to NE. We'll move further now. And now we understood that suppose if you are having a water pipe, so the water will not flow if it is like this, if it is horizontal, and if it is maintained at the same level, the water will not flow. To make the water flow, one is to be connected to the water quantity which is at higher level, and other is to be connected to the quantity which is to be lower. Automatically, if one is connected to the water, the tank which is at higher level, and if it is connected to the tank with the lower level, the water will flow. That means to make the water to flow, we have connected the pipe to the level which is at higher and the other end which is at lower. Similarly, in a conductor AB, if you want to make the charges to flow, we understood that one end is to be maintained at higher potential, the other end is to be maintained at lower potential. Okay, to maintain this one end at higher potential, the other end at lower potential, we already learnt that this is to be connected to a cell or a battery, and this maintains your potential difference, isn't it? So the one is at higher potential, other one is the lower potential. So the potential difference is maintained between these 2 points, and because of the potential difference, the charges are flowing from higher potential to the lower potential. Okay. So now we understood the importance of the potential difference. Because of the potential difference between the 2 points, the charges are able to flow from one end to the other end. So now, after understanding this potential difference, it is necessary for us to understand or to define the potential difference. So to define the potential difference, first let us define what is the potential at a point. Suppose if you are having a point here, and if you want to find in a conductor, if a point is there, if you want to find the potential at this point, how to find out the potential at that point? So here, what we are going to do is, we are going to bring a unit positive charge from somewhere to this point. We are going to bring a unit positive charge from somewhere, let it be some infinity. So from infinity, we are going to bring a unit positive charge from infinity to this point. To bring the charge from infinity to that particular point, it can't come by its own. Certainly we have to do some work. So now let us think that we have done some work W to bring the charges from somewhere to this point. So now you know the law of conservation of energy. So by understanding that, we can say that, so here, because of this work done, some energy is stored at this point. It is due to the work done W. So the potential at this point is V. Potential is denoted by V, and this potential will be equal to the work done. So when we are going to, when this is possible means, if you are bringing a unit positive charge, the potential at this point is the amount of work done. the potential at this point will be equal to the amount of work done if you are bringing in positive charge. V is equal to W. So now we understood what is the potential at a point. It is the amount of work done in bringing a unit positive charge from infinity to that point. Repeating it once again, the amount of work done in bringing a unit positive charge from infinity to this point is the potential at that point. It differs from point to point. Suppose if the point is somewhere here, and if you want to bring the unit positive charge from here to here, the work will not be same. It will be something like W2. So your potential at this point is W2. Okay. So we understood what is the potential. But every time we cannot say that we are going to bring a unit positive charge. So we have to bring some amount of charge. We will be bringing some charges Q, isn't it? So now if you are bringing a charge Q from somewhere to this point, then your V will not be equal to W. So now your V will be equal to W by Q. That means we use this for our defining the potential. The potential at a point is the amount of work done in bringing a unit positive charge from infinity to this point. But for our calculations and for further going with the potential, we just take a test charge Q, some charge Q, and we are going to bring the charge Q from infinity to this point. Then your potential will be equal to W by Q. Okay, so this is the potential at the point. So now, after getting an expression, after understanding the definition, V is equal to W by Q, and you know the W will be in joule and Q will be in coulomb. So the unit of potential is given by joule per coulomb, and this joule per coulomb is given another name, that is the volt. So unit of potential is volt. Okay. So now we understood what is the definition of potential at a point, and we got the expression V is equal to W by Q, and the SI unit of potential is the volt. And after understanding the potential, you can easily understand what is the potential difference between the 2 points. Suppose if we are having a conductor, and if you want to find the potential difference between the 2 points A and B, already you know the importance of the potential difference between the 2 points. If there is a potential difference, then only the charges will flow. So what is the potential difference between the 2 points? It is here, from here to here, we are going to bring some charge. Let us take initially for defining a unit positive charge. If you want to bring unit positive charge from this point to this point, we need to do some work, and that work is the potential difference between the 2 points. So the potential difference between the 2 points is the amount of work done in bringing a unit positive charge from one point to the another point. From one point to the another point. There it is from infinity to this point, and here it is from one point to the another point. So here also, always we cannot go with this. If charge Q is brought from one point to another point, then potential difference between the 2 points is V is equal to W by Q. The same thing, joule per coulomb, that is the volt. So the SI unit of potential difference is volt. The SI unit of potential difference is the volt. So now we understood what is the potential and what is the potential difference. The potential is the amount of work done in bringing unit positive charge from infinity to this point, to that particular point where you are measuring the potential. And the potential difference is the amount of work done in bringing a unit positive charge from one point to the other point. Remember one thing here, when you are defining, always say it in terms of unit positive charge. Okay, right. Now take a screenshot and then make a note of it. Okay, and then after understanding this potential difference, so now let us take in your page number 202. In your page number 202, 3 questions are given there. Name a device that helps to maintain potential, page number 202 in your textbook. Name a device that helps to maintain a potential difference across a conductor. So the question is how to maintain the potential difference across a conductor. How to maintain the potential difference One is to be at higher potential, the other is to be at lower potential. For maintaining the one at a higher potential, the other at lower potential, what we have to do? We have to connect it to a cell or a battery or a generator. So name a device. A device means we can go with a cell or a battery or a generator. And next is, what is meant by saying that potential difference between the 2 points is 1 volt? Potential difference between the 2 points is 1 volt. What is the meaning of this? It is nothing but a definition of 1 volt. So, when the potential difference will be equal to 1 volt, when the potential difference will be equal to 1 volt, just go through the expression once. V is equal to W by Q. If V is equal to W by Q, when this will be equal to 1, if this is equal to 1 and if this is equal to 1. That means, if you are going to bring a unit charge from one point to the another, if the work done is 1 joule, then the potential difference is said to be 1 volt. Okay, so now this is the definition of 1 volt. How to define 1 volt? Simply we cannot define 1 volt directly. We have to define it in terms of the potential difference. The potential difference is said to be 1 volt. If you are bringing a unit charge from one point to the other point and if the work done is 1 joule, then the potential difference is said to be 1 volt. Okay, so that is the second one. And next is, how much energy is given to each coulomb of charge passing through a 6 volt battery. So here, how much energy? Energy is nothing but the work. Each coulomb, that means each coulomb means Q is equal to 1 coulomb. Q is equal to 1 coulomb and Q is equal to 1 coulomb, and they asked what is, if it is connected to the potential difference of 6 volt. So what is the energy means? Energy is nothing but the work. So this is W, Q, V. What is the relation connecting W, Q and V? V is equal to W by Q, and V is equal to W by Q. We need W. W is equal to VQ. V is 6 and Q is 1. It is 6. So we did the problem completely in SI. So the work will be in joule, 6 joule. Okay. So this is the way how we go with the problem. Okay. So now take a screenshot of this. Okay, now earlier we talked about a circuit diagram. In that circuit diagram, there we made a simple circuit. We made a simple circuit, and in that simple circuit, we just connected with a load, a bat cell, key, and the connectors. So this forms a simple circuit, but alone with these three things we cannot go with for making a circuit, because there are some other components which we require to add in a circuit. So for making those, we'll be calling it as a complex circuit. So for making them we need to learn some symbols. So for that, already you know about this symbol, that is a parallel line, two parallel lines, one the long one, other the short one. This is for denoting cell. The long one is for the plus, positive, and the short one is for minus, that is negative. Next is battery. Battery means it is group of cells. Group of cells means cells connected end to end. So one positive, negative, and negative connected to the positive and the negative, and negative connected to positive and negative. So like this. More than a cell. The battery consists of more than a cell, or we will be calling the grouping of the cells. We will be calling this as a battery. And the other one is, already we have talked about this, a tap key. And the other one we talked about is the plug key. Plug key. And we know what is the purpose of the key. It is to make or break the circuit. We use the keys. And for the wire joint, just this is the symbol for joining a wire joint. And for wires crossing without joining, that means suppose we want to make a wire like this, and if we want to go another wire like this, we cannot just draw a line like this. So it just forms a junction here. So to just show that wire passing without making any connection, we just make it like this. So by this you can understand that they are not connecting anywhere else. And next is, you know that this is for the bulb or for the load. And next one is a zigzag line. This symbol is used for resistance. Later we'll come to know what is the meaning and definition, all the things for the resistance. And next one is, this is an appliance. This is called as the variable resistance. Or this also can be shown like this, a zigzag line, and upon that one jockey, we will be calling this as jockey. And this we will be calling as variable resistance or rheostat. This is used to vary the current in the circuit. That means without changing the cell or the battery, we can change the current in the circuit using this appliance called as the variable resistance or the rheostat. And two more devices are there which are used in the circuit. One is to measure the current in the circuit, that is ammeter. It is denoted like this. Another one is to measure the potential difference between the 2 points. It is voltmeter. It is denoted by V. So these are the symbols what we have to learn and keep in mind for making the circuit diagram. Take a screenshot of this and just make a note of this. Okay, so now we understood about the potential difference and the electric current. Now the question is there any relation connecting this V and I? That means the current in the conductor and the potential difference across its ends. Is there a relation connecting these two? So for this, let's go with a more diagram and let us understand what is the relation. Is the relation there, or if it is there, how the relation is? So for this, you need to go with a wire that we'll be calling as the nichrome wire. Nichrome wire means it is, usually we use the copper wires and here is the connectors. Nichrome wire is, certain importance is there. Later we'll come to know when we're talking about the resistance. It's an alloy made up of nickel and chromium. So it's an alloy, and let this be named as A and B. Now we will pass the current through this, change the current, and find out the potential difference across these ends. So for that purpose, we need to connect this to a cell and a plug key or a tap key, whatever else you want. And I want to measure the current in this AB. So this is, I told you, the current will be from the positive to the negative, conventional current. So this will be like this. So I am going to connect it. The current can be measured by the ammeter, and this is connecting here. And now I want to find the potential difference across AB. So voltmeter is connected. One thing you might have observed here, how I have connected ammeter and voltmeter in the circuit. The ammeter is connected along with the circuit. along with the circuit. It means that it is connected in series with the circuit. Remember, if it is along with the circuit, not only this, any component, if it is connected along with the circuit, we will be calling it as it is connected in series. Now look at this voltmeter here. I have connected, I did not connect it along with the circuit, just it is parallel to the circuit. So ammeter is always connected in series with the circuit and voltmeter is connected in parallel with the circuit. Now this is the connection, and if you just put on this, now we need to just make some observations here. So let us make a small tabular column. So number of cells and reading of voltmeter, reading of ammeter. Ammeter means it gives the reading of the current, and V by I ratio. Okay. So the first one is I just went with one cell. So number of cells is 1. At the time, if it is the current is passing, here we are going to observe some readings, and here we are going to observe some readings. It may be some volt and it may be some ampere, and if we just take some the ratio of this, you are going to find a value of that, and then let's go with the another cell, and again 2 cells, reading here, the ratio of that, and again 3 cells, reading of here, reading of the voltmeter and reading of the ammeter and the ratio of it, and again with the 4 cells and the reading of voltmeter, ammeter and the ratio of that. We just observe these readings, the ratio V by I. Here, certainly by changing what we call it as the number of cells here, the current in it changes, and accordingly we will certainly observe the change in the reading of V. So for even though there is change in the reading of A and in the ammeter as well as in the voltmeter, the ratio of this V and I will be approximately, they will be having the same value. That means a constant value will be observing a constant value. So from this we observe that the value of V by I is some constant. V by I will be constant. So from here we might observe one thing from this experiment. Our first question was, is there any relation between V and I? Yes, there is some relation between V and I. What is the relation? The V by I is always constant in the case of this conductor, in the case of a conductor. So now, and if we just take the graph for the V by I of this V and I values of this conductor, or for this nichrome wire, V taken on y-axis and I taken on x-axis. To get the graph, a linear graph, a straight line graph, which is passing through the origin, So this is the graph what we observed, and those are the values we observed, and this was observed by a scientist named George Simon Ohm, and we remember him as the Ohm, and he said that, and by his observation he made a statement that in a conductor, the same thing whatever we observe here, just putting in the form of a statement. In a conductor, the current in the conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference across this. That means V proportional to I. And here a condition is there. This can be observed when your temperature is constant. And we learn this as the Ohm's law. So now what we observed, what the statement he said, just putting in the form of a sentence will just give you a statement. V proportional to I, putting in the words V proportional to I. The current in the conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference applied across its ends when the temperature is constant. Okay, so don't forget that temperature constant. Okay, so now V proportional to I, temperature constant. Just don't remember as V proportional to I. V proportional to I, temperature constant. So once again repeating this Ohm's law, the current in a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference across its ends, keeping the temperature constant. Now we observe V is proportional to I. And if you just take the V proportional to I, V is equal to some constant I. So V by I is equal to a constant, and this constant is replaced with a letter R. V by I is equal to R, and this R is a constant, and this R is a constant, and it is nothing but the resistance of the conductor, whatever we have used, the resistance of a conductor. So R is a constant, and it is the resistance of the conductor. So by this Ohm's law, not only getting a statement, we are now coming across a new term called as the resistance. What is the resistance? Resistance is, first of all, it is the property of a material. Property of a material or property of a conductor. Resistance is the property of a conductor. So here simply we said it's a constant. It's a property of a conductor. What is that property means? Which resists the flow of the current through it. So that's why it's named as a resistance. So resistance is the property of a conductor which resists the flow of charges through it. Through it means through the conductor, which resists the flow of charges through the conductor. So this is the definition of the resistance. And so now from Ohm's law we have just got an expression V by I is equal to R, or V is equal to IR. V is equal to IR. Okay, this is an important expression for us. And now from this we come to know what is R. R is the property, it's a resistance. What is resistance means? It is the property of a conductor which resists the flow of charges through it. And for looking into this R is equal to V by I, and that means going to give the unit for this resistance. So V will be in volt, current will be in ampere, so volt per ampere, and another unit is given for this. Instead of this volt per ampere, it is given as ohm, in the honor of our physicist George Simon Ohm. It is given as the ohm. So the SI unit of resistance is ohm. The SI unit of resistance is ohm, and the symbol for the volt is V, and ampere is A. The unit of ohm is omega. Okay, just remember this is the symbol for omega, ohm, and it is a Greek letter omega, small Greek letter omega. So like this we got the expression from the Ohm's law, and we have gave the unit for the resistance, and gave the unit for the resistance. The unit of resistance is ohm, and the symbol is omega, and R is equal to V by I is equal to V by R. So just observe this, how these I and R are related with each other. If V is constant, I is inversely proportional to R, isn't it? So if V is constant, I is inversely proportional to R. That means if resistance increases, if the resistance of a conductor increases, the current in the conductor decreases. If the current in the conductor increases, that means the resistance of the conductor is decreased. That means if we decrease the resistance of a conductor, the current in the conductor increases. So, so from this, usually the question will be asked like this: if the resistance is doubled, what happens to the current in the conductor? A simple question. If the resistance is doubled, that means increased, what happens to the current in the conductor? The current in the conductor decreases. How much it decreases? If it is doubled, this becomes half. Okay, so like that we can go with the question given for that like that. Okay, take a screenshot of that and later will come.